All right, we are live. Thanks everybody for coming in today. We are going to talk about some different things today. Um, I'm going to start this with a rant because I think some things need to be said, and um, tired of hearing certain things. And at this point, hey, whatever. Um, don't really care what anybody else thinks. So if you get your feelings hurt easily, sorry about that. And if you're here to learn something and to help your business, good for you. Good for you. I wish you all the best. Today, I want to talk about 2023. Everybody knows the spot market is tough right now. Anybody who tells you we're at bottom and it's about to turn around, I strongly disagree with them. Um, just from what I'm seeing, I don't think we've hit absolute bottom yet. There's more pain to come. There is some negative things happening right now that have not even yet hit the freight market, are just starting to hit the freight market. So um, these kind of times call for everybody to sharpen their business skills, let go of some old preconceived things from the past. If you're still hanging on to the last 2 years in trucking and waiting for things to return to normal and hoping things are going to get back to normal because that's what you see as normal, I got news for you. That's not going to happen. Not anytime soon. That was the result of an unprecedented situation in this country. And hopefully that the kind of thing never happens again. In the long run, it wasn't good for us. This is kind of what got us here, right here today, right now. So if you can just get past that, you're doing yourself a huge favor and focus on the right here and the right now and the future of your business rather than the past of your business. Trucking is funny. Trucking is funny in that there is so many people in it that they don't want to learn more about the business that they're in. They don't want to bear the burdens of the business that they've in. They don't want to take on the challenges of the business that they're in. I want to go out and get my own authority because there's more money, but I don't want to I don't want to bid freight. I don't want to develop relationships. I'm going to set up my business model to do business with a third party person, a middleman broker. But then when that person doesn't give me exactly what I want, I'm not going to go out and try to improve myself. I'm just going to sit around and bitch that that person is screwing me and cry out for somebody to regulate that person and make them give me everything that I want just because it's what I want. Um, I'm not going to do any research as if it, um, historically is that what is reasonable. It's just what I want. So consider that. If you're here watching this, I'm assuming that you're not that person, and I'm going to hope that you're not going to be that person. That you're trying to learn more and improve more. Um, so let the past be the past. Right here and now. Uh, let's not do any more of that. Do you find it funny how most of the people that for the last 2 years were bragging about all the high dollars they were getting, the money they were making, showing the rate cons, showing talking about how bad they screwed this person. Are they talking about it now? No, because it was nothing special that they were doing. They weren't somehow a genius. They were benefiting from circumstance. I benefited from it too, but I wasn't dumb enough to go on and tell everybody how freaking brilliant I was in getting $10 a mile because I knew it was nothing I was doing. It's purely benefiting from circumstance. Okay. Um, if it was something brilliant you were doing, you would still be experiencing the exact same results as you were before. But I suspect for 99% of the people, that is probably not the case. If you're doing something special, some kind of niche market, that may still be true. And congratulations to you for developing that for yourself. Like I said, we likely have a ways to go before we hit bottom. Um, the economy in general, not just freight. So prepare, start to make moves now. Be ahead of the curve. Be ahead of everybody else. Um, that all that being said, the people that are making the real money in trucking, they're not on YouTube. You're not going to see them on YouTube. They're off doing other things. And today we're gonna get into one of the things that they're doing. They don't care a thing about teaching other people about trucking or making money. They're busy running their business. They're busy preparing their business for the future of freight and what is to come. Uh, they're adapting their business plan. There's a season going on right now. They're taking advantage of that. And here's one of the things they're doing is bidding contract freight. Right. It is the season. I know the title says mastering the art of contract freight bidding. This isn't quite a mastery class. This is just kind of, I'm going to explain to you today how to do it. Right. I'm no master of it by any means. I don't claim that that's just a title. Clickbait. Congratulations. You got clickbaited. Uh, but we're gonna talk about it a lot here today. Okay. And I want everybody to come into this with an open mind of, um, okay, is this something I want to do? Am I bidding this freight to get the freight, or am I bidding this freight because this is what it ought to pay? Well, this ought to pay $8 a mile. Well, it doesn't matter what it ought to pay. You are in competition right now. You're in competition with uh, every driver around you. Yes, I know brotherhood, all this and that, but you're also competition. You're in competition. Okay, so back to the middleman thing, creating your business model around dealing with a middleman broker who then you're going to get upset with. Well, I'm going to freaking tell you here today what to do about it. I, I, I'm tired of this sitting around screaming that brokers are screwing us, bitching about brokers. This is your opportunity to do something about it. And if you don't, then shut up. Okay. This is your opportunity. All right. This is a good time to do this. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to participate in RFP season. And if you're one guy with one truck, don't just go thinking I can't get contract freight. I can't win bids. I can't do this, because you can. And I know because I've done it. The thing is, it's not easy. All right. It's going to take some work. It's going to take some practice. It may not work the first time, but if you don't start now, in 5 years, you'll be like, man, I wish I would have started back then. I'd have learned a lot. I'd be ready for this. I may have won some of these things, and I'd be light years ahead, or I may still be in business rather than struggling. Okay. So we're going to talk about RFPs. RFP is a request for proposal in a lot of lanes with shippers. Now this pertains to shippers. You can do this with brokers, and yes, receivers. Receivers, some are responsible for hauling their own freight. Okay, when you see on a bill of lading customer pickup, so if you're picking up at an Americold going to McLean's Food Service, don't automatically assume you're hauling that for Americold. You could very likely be hauling it for McLean's, right? They're the receiver. It's customer pickup. So there's all three of those options you want to explore. Also, um, 3PLs, right? So I'm gonna go do one of these live today. We'll talk about how to do it. It's one that I'm not going to participate in because it doesn't offer anything that of what I do. So I don't mind sharing that with you. I have about 400 more freight lanes here that I'm going to bid that do pertain to me, but those are confidential, so we're not talking about those. Um, so RFPs, how do you get to participate in it? All right, there's generally two main ways to sell your services of hauling freight, right? And that one is sales. You cold call, you work contacts. You're trying to sell your freight service to somebody that needs it, and you may or may not be successful. There's different levels of success, but one way to be successful, if they shut you down and say no, we're really not interested, what you want is to ask them, well, when do you take your RFPs? Could I get involved in your next bid, your next freight bid season? And they may be, even though they don't want you now, they may be interested in doing that. So tell them you want to get on their bid list for their next RFPs. If you talk to a broker, every broker you talk to, brokers do this all the time. And I'm going to show you one today. You don't see a ton of freight from them on the load boards, but you're going to find out right here they got all kinds of freight that they broker out. They just contract it in the beginning of the year. So you can be a part of that. So brokers, 3PLs like XPO, DHL, they do these contract lanes. Okay, being that freight is slow this year, you want to be a part of this, because when all this gets sucked up, you're never going to see it on the load board. So you're gonna be like, there's no freight. Well, there was. It got arranged now. And this is going to continue through spring here. Some places do it the dead of summer, going in the fall before holiday season, but mostly you're going to start to see it happen in the next few months. So everybody you want to talk to on the phone, every broker, say, do you guys have any contract bids coming up? Um, and whether you're interested in it or not, it's going to be good practice for you to get these in front of you and see them. You're not going to win a whole lot, especially the first few times. I'm going to bid all these lanes, even if the ones I'm not interested in, because it's going to help me, uh, more information to me. I'm going to learn what lanes are out there. Sometimes you will find out what the lanes successfully got covered at, depending on how well you know the people. They may share that with you, and also uh, customers, shippers, etc. They like to see that if they see that you're participating, that gets your name in front of them. They learn that, hey, this guy's trying, and they're going to keep you in the bid list for next year. You may stay on that indefinitely. Who knows what next year brings? Could be tougher than this year yet, right? So the more you can get in front of you and participate in, the better. Now, if you win the lane, does not necessarily mean you have to take it. You may find out afterwards all the stipulations. It may, uh, you know, be the deliveries may be too long a transit times. It could be really a customer you don't want. There's different reasons. Okay. Now another reason to bid them, even if you think you're not going to win, is because people will bid these lanes and they will fail. So I did a bid sheet last week, and 3 of the lanes that I bid, I won. Now I want these lanes. We're going to take them. Um, it's going to take a couple months before they start. They'll generally put these out months in advance of when the lane is going to start. So they'll start in like April or so. Okay. Now these 3 lanes I won. And then she told me there was this other lane you were like third, this other lane you're like fifth, and then the other ones I wasn't even in the running. Well, what can happen, the ones that I was second or third, if that person that won the lanes falls off or fails or does a crappy job, you know what they do? They go to the next person on the list. Okay. So, and that can happen. People go out of business. People say, this isn't working for me. I don't like this. My drivers hate doing this. They say, I can't do it for the price that I thought I could. For whatever reason, they can fall off and fail. So you want to be there to fill that gap. Okay. So it's all about getting opportunities in front of your face. And it's also how you meet people and establish connections. Because if I get on a bid list with one place, they may say, "Oh, I know this other guy over here. Maybe you want to contact them and try to do it also." So um, you're going to get in. You're going to get out what you put into it. What you're doing is arming yourself with information before you um, fill these sheets out. Right, you want to learn as much as you can about the freight to make sure you could handle it. So, is it drop and hook on both ends? Or just one end? Do you need a trailer pool? What kind of trailer do you need? Is it all for appointment? Is it uh, open? How critical is the time schedule? What are the penalties if you fail on a load? Right. Some of this stuff, if you're talking over dimensional and stuff, or you got to bring a crane in to unload, there can be stiff financial penalties for being late. What kind of freight is it? Is it just in time freight? Is it freight they're just moving? Okay, we got 6 loads this month. Here they are. You move them when you can move them. All kinds of information like that. So learn as much about the customer as what you can, and about the freight as what you can. It's going to help you give a more accurate quote. Uh, know the customer, know their needs. Ask ask questions. If they send you an opportunity to bid, you can email them back and say, um, here X, Y, and Z. Here's the things I need to know to complete your bid. They will put a timeline on it. Say, I'd like to have these bids back by March 31st, and the project will start sometime in May or April or whatever. Um, so do that. Now, I'm going to bring up one here. I think I touched on everything I wanted to right off the bat. Let me find this here. Okay, so I got a. This is this is the broker. It's US Express, right? You don't see a ton of their freight on the board. Maybe you do. I don't check the dry van boards all the time, but I'm just saying what what shows up as van or reefer. So you dry van guys, you may see a whole bunch of their freight on the board. They're doing an RFP event. Uh, uh, it says, as one of our valued collaborators, this event allows you to partner with us and provide consistent freight to keep your trucks rolling in 2023. Okay. The RFP is focused on dedicated freight with two specific components: preloaded business on our trailers. So, what they're telling you right there is it's power only. That's right up your alley there, Jerome Jones, which will award all volumes at a lane level. And then there's live load business on your equipment that can either drop at delivery or live unload, depending on the facility. And they're going to tell us that. Why am I not sharing my screen here? I apologize, folks. Let me go back and share my screen. All right. Here we go. All right. That's better. And then it tells us how to participate. Click the download button here to get the template. We're going to do that in a second. Price your lanes of interest for outbound and inbound lane selection. So they broke it down to outbound loads and inbound loads. Fill out the cover page and the pricing. Fill out rate and capacity volumes. Return all RFP submissions via email. So they've laid out exactly what they want. Here's the requirements and expectations. They want 53-foot dry vans, or like they said, some of it was power only. Timely return of U.S. Express equipment to origin required. Digital tracking with 95% on-time performance. This RFP is for annual dedicated freight beginning of March. Okay, so it's coming up. Please include line haul rates. Fuel surcharge will be automatically added. Okay, so there's a couple things here. Here's some reasons why people might fail. 95% on-time performance. If somebody doesn't get that, they're probably moving on to the next guy, which could be you. They're telling you it starts in March, and okay, the line haul rates, fuel surcharge will be automatically added. So some places will expect you to use their fuel surcharge schedule, and you may be able to use your own. I have my own fuel surcharge schedule for the lanes I just bid with another place. I just said I accept your fuel surcharge schedule because they were so close. They're within a penny. I'm not even gonna you know bring it up as an issue. Some of them will say, when you bid the freight, tell us if you're using yours or using ours. So make that clear. So this is bidding. They want a line haul rate on all these bids. Now, I do bid some of the shorter stuff as a flat rate and then plus fuel surcharge. So this is the minimum rate, like some of the intrastate stuff. So many miles, $500. So many miles, $700. So many miles, $900. And then I put plus fuel surcharge. So then you would take the 150 miles times what, 55 cents a mile, and add that onto the flat rate. Or you could do an all-in flat rate on some things. But these guys made it clear they want a line haul rate, and they're only willing to accept you using their fuel surcharge. So we're gonna see on the schedule here if it shows us what their fuel surcharge is. Now I have that. So if you click on the download RFP form, it's going to open up this Excel here. So let me share that screen quickly, if I can. All right, that didn't work. Huh. Okay, let's see if that works. Will it let me share an Excel spreadsheet? There we go. That's going to work right there. I'll just make it bigger. There we go. All right, so we're going to start, and I'll come back to comments in a little bit. I just want to get through this. So let's go to the cover page first off. What they want is for you to fill out this cover page first with all your name, information, number of teams, are you drop trailer capable? And then down here at the bottom, it's going to show the outbound loads and inbound loads. So let's just pick on a couple loads here, and we'll scroll through it and see what kind of information. So the lane is Columbus, Ohio to Laredo, Texas. Oh, that's a bad one. That's an example one. Let's go to the first load. Redlands, California to Phoenix, Arizona. So origin city, Redlands. You see the zip code. This is power only. Wait, does it say power only? Let's see here. It's a drop. Yep. So it says these are all, I think, power only loads they're listed as. Look at all the loads on here. All right. And then goes to Phoenix, Arizona, the zip code. So it's a drop on both ends, drop and drop. 301 miles. You're telling us here some of this is solo, some of these are team. You can see that. Oops. Don't want to click like that. And I told you this wasn't wasn't mastering anything here. And then trailer mode, van. These are all van loads. Is what we're looking at here as I scroll. And then an important part here is expected loads per week. So they're telling you the lane volume. So that's where you got to decide if you're, hey, I'm a one guy with one truck. I obviously can't handle 11 loads a week. You got to decide how many you can handle. And then it will come back, okay, if you win the bid, you could find out later that the scheduling is on days of the week that conflict. So if you're going to bid, say, I can take 3 loads a week, they can't obviously all be on Monday. They're going to have to be staggered out. So that's one of the details that'll have to come into play uh, if you get past this point. All right. This is the USX equipment line haul rate. This is the power only rate with their trailer. So you have to know on 301 miles. This is where it can get a little sticky for a lot of people. Okay, let me minimize this for just a second so we can talk here. Get rid of that. How do I do that? Cancel. All right. Now here's the part where I probably lose a lot of people. You have to know these lane rates. You have to know. This is what you work for 10 years is to develop lane rates. It's part of what happens. Kind of one of the downfalls of just bouncing all over the spot market, chasing that next hottest load. You never really truly learn in depth a lane. Were you not able to see the spreadsheet? Georgia Patriot says I can't see the spreadsheet. Okay, I'm going to try to get that again. So, and once again, going back to the last 2 years, those rates are not going to work. So here's who you're competing against. You're competing against other people like you. You're competing against C.H. Robinsons of the world, all these brokers that you hate, your next door neighbor if he has a truck. You got to know this rate. So for you to come in and say, well, this ought to pay $5 a mile, ought to means nothing. You know, what is it going to take? If you want this lane, you have to determine the price it's going to take for you to get the lane. If you don't want the lane, bid of whatever the hell you want. I don't care. Nobody's going to care. They're going to throw out the high bids. They'll never even get considered. You have to be practical. So what resources do you have? Well, you have DAT. You have there's some, your 15-day or 30-day averages depending on what package you pay for. You have 1 2 3 load board. They show could you guys not see that spreadsheet? Okay, I'm going to do it a little differently next time when I bring it back up. Sorry about that. If you subscribe to a program like Freight Waves, they may have sonar, which is detailed freight lane information. But then you have to be careful too, because you're bidding this for a year. Remember it said on there for the year of 2023. So your bid has to hold for a year. Now, largely fuel surcharge is going to take care of a lot of that. But what if freight goes bonkers again, right? You need to give yourself a little bit of room for that. First off, you have to know your costs, right? What would it cost for you to run the lane from Redlands, California to Phoenix, Arizona? 301 miles. Fuel is high in California. It's going to be high in Arizona. So, are you willing to buy all your fuel in Arizona? So you need to figure out roughly your cost per mile for fuel and for everything that you do. That's just part of trucking too. We talked about that a lot. Know your costs. And then you need to factor in the margin for yourself. And I'm not here to tell you what it's going to be, You're going to have to figure that out. That is a very divisive topic. Lately, somebody is trying to tell me that you need to have a buck 50 a mile per axle. My calculations are that's 750 a mile on a 5 axle vehicle. Saying that if you're not getting that, you're part of the problem with this industry. You're a scourge on the industry, and you're not having any profit left in your business. Well, I say good luck. I say you're the problem for not knowing your costs. If your costs are anywhere near that, uh, you're the problem, not me. My costs are very under control and they're very reasonable, and I can make a lot of money hauling it half that, at less than half that. So don't be mad at me because you're not a good business person. Okay, you need to know. So, I mean, here we could go. Let me bring up DAT here for a minute. Let me get back to. I'll share. Do a share screen again. I'm having troubles here. There's a share screen button, but it's kind of all over the place. So we'll go this here. There we go. There's DAT. All right. Let's just do a dry van. That was dry van freight, but it was power only. So we're gonna search van and power only. Redlands to, where was it? Phoenix. Yeah, I believe Phoenix, Arizona. For the next 3 weeks or so. There we go. All right. So what do we got here? We'll pick something that's right around that 300-mile mark. Here we go. Rialto to Buckeye. 800 bucks flat rate. Broker to contract spot rate 347 a mile with a range of 307 to 376. So that's a pretty good lane rate per mile for a dry van. Now, what you'll have to decide is, okay, how much is the trailer part of that worth because you're doing power only. A lot of people say 10%. See, here's the tricky part. Okay, well now when it comes to that, power only has been on fire the last few years, right? When we were going through all these troubles here in trucking with the pandemic and whatnot, power only was on fire. Before that, most power only was pretty weak. Okay, and we're kind of getting back to that point. So my guess is you're going to be closer to the bottom of that lane than you are the top. You're going to be closer to the 307. Now, this does not include, oh, it does include fuel this week. Okay, so that would be what, 260 a mile plus fuel. That's a pretty strong power only dry van rate. Okay, then you got to ask yourself, does that rate sustain for a year? Well, to be with fuel at 307 for power only dry van, uh, you might be. You might be. It's probably right around where you would need to be, but you'll have to. That's a lane that I don't run. Not even close, much less with a dry van. So if you're a dry van person, you're going to have to determine that for yourself. Okay. Now, let's just pick on something else here. Something going right to Phoenix proper. There we go. Barstow to Phoenix. Oh, that's different. That's a military load. Fontana to Phoenix. That's pretty doggone close. Okay, that isn't actually a loadout trailer. They don't give an offer price here, but it's also the same rate. So my guess is you're going to be around 250 a mile plus fuel, and that's on a shorter load. That's probably where I would try to be. Now I'd check. If I knew somebody that did that lane all the time, I'd be calling them and say, hey, for the last 5 years, what have you been getting on that lane? Because you want to know the highs and lows, right? So, okay, what was it last year, the year before that? Well, if we go back before 2019, what were you getting on that lane before that? So, check all your resources there. Um, and then, too. So, since I can't share that. I'm contractually out. So since I'm on the broker side of it as well, I could go into my broker screen in DAT, and I could look up the uh, if this bid was for a shipper, not a broker, I could look up uh, in that screen in that side. If you're paying more for your package, it'll give you the shipper to broker rate, and then it'll also give me the broker to carrier average rate. So it gives you a little bit more info. But that I was paying damn near $350 a month for that. I just recently cut that out because I don't need it. But that's also you could get it for a month, pull this information off that you need, and then cancel it. Is what I'm saying. If it's really important to you to win some of these bids, that's another thing you could do. So let me trying to share an Excel spreadsheet. Let me just see if I can do that. Uh, Let me open the spreadsheet here first. It doesn't give me. It says I can share the whole screen. Do 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 do. Hmm. Here we go. Okay, let's try this. Can y'all see that better? Somebody give me a thumbs up if we can see that better. I'm assuming you can because it looks like on my. You know what? I could pull out my phone and check. Oh, okay. You can see that better. All right. So this is the spreadsheet. We're on outbound loads here, and we're picking on Redlands to Phoenix, right? We're talking about. Let's go back over here. The lane volume of 11 loads per week. All right. Now they want to know your rate using their trailer. So what were we going to bid? We were going to bid. We'll just put 250 miles. They want to know the all-in rate. It was 301 miles. That puts us at 750, 250. We'll put that in there. And then your capacity. All right. If you if you're off a little bit, don't worry about it. What I always tell them is when I submit this back to them, I tell them these are my rates uh, plus fuel surcharge, and then based on available capacity is what I usually say. So they want to know if it's daily or weekly capacity. Should work in the drop down here. Well, we'll just probably have to type it in. We'll put weekly, and then we're gonna say, heck, if I live in Redlands or something in the area, what could we do? We're gonna say if we could probably safely do 3 of them a week. We know there's probably the opportunity to pick up more um, if it works out. But remember, this is power only, so we probably gotta pick something up, bring it back, or maybe later on in the sheet we got some inbound stuff here. We could see if there's some opportunities to do some inbound freight. So days of the week, we'll say Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for good measure here. And then they got it set up kind of cool here where it's going to take. Why did it do that? $3. Oh, okay. It just added fuel surcharge to our rate there, and it's going to add in the fuel surcharge and let us know that hey, we're at 924.07 for a rate. It didn't do it right under the capacity screen. It changed it to $3. It's supposed to be three a week. Oh well, that's their error in their spreadsheet. So then we can go through. And then they jump to the country here, McDonough, Georgia. There's a lot out of Redlands, McDonough, Georgia, North Bergen, New Jersey, Columbus, Ohio. A whole bunch out of Columbus. That must be beer, huh? And then let's go and look at the inbound sheet here. All right, so let's see if we could match that up to if there's an Arizona back to Redlands. I don't see anything. So the inbound sheet here, let's pick on one of these. We'll do how about North Bergen, New Jersey? Live load in North Bergen. Going to Columbus, Ohio for a drop. 532 miles. These are solo loads. There is also some team loads mixed in here, but yet they're all still van. Let me see if these were power only. See, now these do not say power only. The other sheet all said power only. So these are going to be, you're going to have your own trailer. So you're going to bid that a little bit differently. Where did we go on our say? So North Bergen, New Jersey to Columbus. Expected loads, 50 loads per week. 50 loads per week. So that's a pretty good volume lane. So you can see, for a year now, I'm telling you guys, if you're struggling right now, this is your chance to tie up your freight for a year, to tie up your truck for a year right here. You work hard on the rate, you get a rate you're happy for. Hey, I'm telling you right now, this is how trucking companies do it. This is how the people that are making money in trucking that are not on YouTube, this is what they do. This is exactly what they're doing. And you're not seeing them mad at brokers, right? Or this is what brokers are doing. So this is your chance to compete with them. All right. I'm telling you, this is something you should be involved in if you care about your trucking business. 50 loads a week. That could keep a guy busy, couldn't it? You could probably do so. I'm gonna take a shot in the dark here at a van lane out of North Bergen to Columbus. That is not a strong lane coming off the East Coast with a dry van. 532 miles. Oh, right now you're probably just for line haul less than $2 a mile. Well, yeah, you would be. And here, let's just go ahead and verify that with DAT, right? North Bergen, New Jersey, to Columbus, Ohio. We'll knock off the power only and just do van. Now let's check that also for about the next 3 weeks. So we got a good database to pull from. All right, yeah. We're seeing some, let's try to pick on something here right about the same mileage. Okay, well, that's a Delaware market. Newark to Westchester. Okay, how about that? That's pretty doggone close. Newark, New Jersey to Westchester, Ohio, 615 miles. Broker carrier spot rate, including fuel this week, is between $1.83 and $2.20. This load is at $2.05 a mile. Okay, that's actually probably a little stronger than I thought it was going to be. I thought this was going to be a terrible, terrible lane. So maybe I would. Ooh, what did I just do here? Let me bring my spreadsheet back up. There we are. Maybe I would go $1.90. Let's just say, I don't know, for argument's sake, this is also not a lane that I do. $1.90 times 532 miles. That's at 1,010, right? And then one guy, we're probably not gonna squeeze in more than 2 of those a week. So we'll put 2 of those weekly. Oops, my bad. I messed up there. Weekly capacity, we'll say 2 days of the week. We'll just say about like a Monday and a Thursday. How about that? With fuel, that's 13.24. So, if that's a rate you're happy with, it's a little stronger lane in reverse on the backhauls. Boy, people don't like it when I rant. If you go back to the beginning when I was ranting, the viewers just fell off. But I don't care. I want people who are serious about this, because it's time. I'm telling you, it's time to be serious right now. I'm telling you, like, somebody's got to say it. So yeah, so we're gonna we could fill out all of these, right, if we wanted to. Like I said, this is one that I'm not participating in because I don't have dry vans at the moment. If this was all reefer, I would do every lane on here, right? So these opportunities are not going to just fall. Well, here we go again. These opportunities are not going to just fall on your lap. You have to seek them out and ask for them. That being said, this one right here fell in my lap. I did I did not ask for this RFP sheet, but that just goes to show you. It goes to show you. Here, let me get rid of the sharing this screen here. Uh, it goes to show you what will start to happen by getting involved in this. Okay. I just had an RFP sheet with what? There was a couple hundred lanes on there. I did not ask for. Now, if that was not from US Express, if that was from a shipper, I could bid on those with my brokerage side, right? So more opportunity. Um, that's not what I do. I don't use my brokerage for that. My brokerage is purely for building my carrier. Um, but you could. Incidentally, uh, if you're gonna, a lot of people asking, and when I had Paul on last weekend about starting a brokerage, yes, but I would beg of you get some training. It's one of the problems right here. We have so many brokers out there right now that are inexperienced and have no training, and they're going to go through an RFP sheet like this, and they're going to bid every. They could give a damn if they bid everything $1 a mile plus fuel, because they're not hauling it on their assets, right? Now, most likely, the customer would see that and know, hey, this guy's at $1 a mile across the board. These other people are giving us realistic rates. We're probably just going to throw this guy's stuff out because we know he can't cover loads for that. Um, so yeah, the more you participate in this, the more opportunity that will come your way. And you may not know, like this US Express RFP here is of no use to me, but I'll pass it along. I passed it along to a friend who it could be useful for, right? And then when he's a dry van company. When he gets one that's all reefer freight, guess who he's going to think of? He's going to think of me. He's going to send it on back to me. So I'm not making it out like it's easy to do this. It can take a bit to get your foot in the door, but would it have been better if you tried to get your foot in the door going back 5 years? Would you have your whole leg or your whole body through the door now and be hauling freight for people? Uh, then you wouldn't be getting so badly affected by the spot market right now. Okay. I feel like there's a lot more pain to come in the spot market. So uh, do things like this. Now, spot market is slow, right? Economy slowing down. Overflow freight goes to the spot market, right? So in a slowing economy, the the overflow freight lessens, and guess what? It lessens even more through things like this. This freight just taken care of right here, right now. You won't see it the rest of the year on the load board. So now's your chance. Okay. Ask and ye shall receive. All right. I'm going to go back to some different comments here. I probably have some bad ones in the beginning, but whatever. Gary Bates, Invader. Okay. Wheel burner in here. Thanks for coming in, brother. So start preaching, bro. We're all ears. I can't preach too much because everybody will unsubscribe. In the house is present. Dan's Hotshot Trucking and Outdoor Adventures. Okay, Hotshot. Who just got? Somebody I know just got a bid request for some Hotshot freight. Oh, he's watching right now. So the person that is bidding that Hotshot freight. I'm not going to say who you are, but maybe Dan's Outdoor Adventures here obviously has a Hotshot. Maybe it's a person to connect with to try to cover some of that freight or help with some of the rates. But I want everybody to know, like, the seriousness of it right now. Like, you gotta sharpen your tools. You gotta get in the right mindset. Mindset right now is the different. And if you're of still holding on to the last couple of years, it's not the right mindset. It's not going to do you any favors, because what you're gonna do is everything that comes your way, every opportunity that comes your way, you're gonna measure it against the past, against which is typically a good thing. Okay, but when you're measuring it against a super artificially inflated past, which is what had happened in the last couple of years, it's not going to do you any favor, because you might not recognize a good opportunity that's presented to you. Okay, and I'll stop preaching about that, but I can't say it enough. I really can't. Uh, the opportunities right now are going forward, participating in things like this. Start. It just blows my mind for like like trucking is one of the few industries where people don't go out and try to find their own customers. They're really happy just dealing with the middleman broker. There's not a lot of other industries like that. Like if you went to a uh, Best Buy, right? And they're like, "Oh, we don't want to sell to people. We don't want customers. We want to sell all our stuff through this third party, whatever." It's just kind of weird. So don't be intimidated. Paul from Freight Connect's there to help you if you want to try to do that. There's different levels of success. If you cold call somebody and you don't get their freight, that's not a failure. All right. Most sales don't happen until about the seventh or eighth call, and freight is more difficult yet. But one way of having a big victory without actually getting their freight is to get these RFPs. This is Let me ask you this. Have you gotten one before? So wouldn't it be a victory to get one now? All right. And this is almost kind of in a way a little, I don't want to say better, but it's different than cold calling and selling, because you're cold calling and selling, you're doing it all on the spot, right? Like you got to be on the spot, Johnny. This gives you the opportunity to look at the freight, look at the lanes. Um, you're arming yourself with so much more information. Okay. Uh, all right. Grade 8 transportation in house is catch the replay. Okay. My name is Nobody. Greetings, everyone. El Guapo. D. Compton in the house. Uh, Rigoberto, I'm out here in a box truck making it. Good deal. Good deal. Um, uh, you're going to see a lot of different trailer types in these scenarios. So there's opportunities out there for that. Most of your power only stuff will be like brokers. So if you're looking for power only opportunities, you're going to want to hit up large trucking companies. Is your should be your target. Okay, your targets and your Best Buys, your Lowe's, these big giant Walmart. Well, not so much Walmart. There's some opportunities with Walmart, but like your your Home Depots, Target, the big power onlys that you see, they typically don't go to smaller carriers. Like Walmart, you can get power only with Walmart with what are they? I signed up once and I didn't quite qualify. They wanted 5 trucks, I believe, 5 truck minimum, and I would have had to double my liability and cargo insurance. Which, looking back, it might have been a smart move to uh, to be having the servicing some power only Walmart stuff. That might have been smart. But if you're open to it, some of these grocery places like your Aldi's, uh, I know Aldi's. Who else does it? CNS. CNS does it, I believe. They'll take on some power only contractors, especially around the holiday rushes. Um, this is different than like leasing on. So leasing on to FedEx or leasing on to whoever. That's a different thing. We're just talking about bidding freight with your authority here. Trucking for fun in here. Thanks for coming in. Things are still a little higher than normal. They are. They are. There's still room for plenty of pain, unfortunately. Um, watch out for those truck stops. Pay attention. Okay. Adam I in the house. Thank you for coming in. Uh, Matthew Monsees, teach me, ye old wise man. I don't have elders to ask anymore. Well, I am old, that's for sure. I don't know about a wise man. Just a guy. Live in the moment. Expectations are premeditated. Resentments. That's some high level, too high level for me. um, where are we at here? Snorlords in the house has just shared. Well, thank you. Uh, people complain about rates, but they do nothing to lower their overhead. This is true. Trucking's not so much a hobby when there's not all that extra money, is it? It becomes a business. If you run it like a business all the time, you'll be ready for these times like this. Now, it's still tough. Don't get me wrong. Chief Freight Hauler, one truck operations shouldn't entertain the larger shippers. The small local manufacturers are great. Yeah, there's plenty of those. Like I said, some of your grocery places, right, for power only, or even if you have your trailer, They never have enough. Seem to have enough trailers. Um, Hello there. I wish an excellent conversation to all. Thank you. Meister Nobody shared out. Well, thank you. Tolga says leave a like. It helps with your algorithm. Thank you. Cheap freight hauler. Too many service failures will get them canned. Yeah, there's all kinds of reasons to get canned. I almost got canned here recently from a customer. Let's talk a little bit about that. So, one of my customers that I started doing some broker freight for, um, I had a new driver that I sent in there a couple weeks ago, and he called the shipper. It's not with my knowledge, and said, "Hey, I need you to load me a day early because I got to get out of here. There's a storm coming." Which I would have made that phone call myself. I don't want them to make it. Got him, read him the riot act. They agreed to load him, and then he never showed up. Called the next morning and said, "No, I'm not coming. I have a problem," and went into detail about what the problem was. And this customer doesn't need to hear any of that. All they needed to know was that truck won't be here. I myself am finding a new one, and it'll get taken care of. So I got a good talking to over that. And I didn't know any of those conversations even happened until I got that phone call. So you could get bumped out of a place for something somebody says or does. They leave a pee bottle in the parking lot. Some places will can you for that. Service failure, damaged freight, constant freight claims, mishandling of not doing the paperwork the way you want them to do it, being late. There's just all kinds of reasons. And if you don't fill out these sheets, you ain't next in line. Okay. Chicken Ox says performance. Yes, performance. Does this work with power only? Jerome Jones says yes. And that one we were just looking at is power only. Half of it was power only, I believe. Chicken Ox says cheap freight hauler. All my freight I get due to other carriers failing to perform. I'm always the high bid. Yes, that is a good tactic right there. Be the guy. Be the guy they don't have to worry about. Be the guy that solves their problems, and that when they give you a load, they don't have to worry about it. It's off their plate. That's the guy you want to be. Okay, I've got a local shipper I'm quoting soon. Cool, good deal. Excellent, man. Excellent. And can people really make it using only the spot market? I mean, you can. People do it. You can go through some really tough times. So let's talk about, what was it, 2019 or 2020, in the beginning of the shutdowns, right when they shut everything down in the country. I could go on the load board, and I live in a strong freight market, and do a search within 150 miles. You know how many loads would show up? 6. One day I looked and there was 6 loads. And you know what happens when there's 6 loads? They can pay whatever the hell they want to pay because somebody's going to take that freight. If somebody's not taking it for an outbound, they'll take it for a backhaul to get their truck back to where they had their customer freight. That can happen. That's a real thing. Um, the last 2 years, like, very artificial. So, not saying you can't, but if you want a strong, business, you could consider some of these bids. You could consider them spot, right? Because you're bidding it through a broker. You're not. It would be a contracted rate, right? But it's a spot process. It's a broker, right? So it's kind of a mix between the two. Um, Russell Freight says I do power only. Okay, there's opportunities out there for that. You might see who's somebody else. Maybe you see Swift. I would almost imagine that Swift does an RFP bid thing like this. They're giant. Some of I don't, maybe Schneider. I don't know, JB Hunt. Um, in fact, I've seen something like this at one point for JB Hunt. So if they still do it, I don't know. They do a lot of shorter move stuff now, intermodal, all that. Jerome Jones is an international man of mystery. You can't beat him. Okay. Um, Roberto says $800. Geez, that's a chunk of change. Okay. Chicken Hawk says I do the same thing. I bid them and tell them when the cheap guy fails, give me a call. Cheap service isn't good, but good service isn't cheap. Yes, yes. And I've had that discussion. Pardon me a second. I had that discussion with some of the freight that I bid a couple weeks ago on those lanes that I won, and she let me know, hey, some of these other lanes here, you were like third or fourth, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're out because after we go, get pricing, we look at performance. So if you've hauled for us before, which I have, they're going to go back and look at our service record. They're going to go look back at like freight claims. We have any of that? Did we accept tracking? Um, all that stuff. It's going to play in. So definitely. Twitch in house says, "What's up, drivers? I'm late. What did I miss? Ah, just everything." Cheap freight hauler. My shipper would rather pay more and have her load on time than dealing with a broker. Yeah. So hey, here's your opportunity, right? I just I can't tell you enough. Like the bitching that's going on right now about brokers and they're screwing us. Hey, it's probably true. May or may not be true. I'm not here to argue with it. What I am telling you is it's time to do something about it or shut up. Because right here, right now is your opportunity to do something about it. If you don't, stop bitching about it on YouTube. Okay. Now if you try and you're not successful, try again. Try again next year. Try again this fall. Try again when the next one comes up. But learn from each one that you didn't get. It doesn't hurt to follow up after a little while and say, when is the decisions being made on this? And they'll tell you, and then say, where did I come in? So that I can do better next time. Or possibly they might tell you what the winning rate was. They probably won't. Some will, some won't. If it's somebody you got a working relationship with, they might. Um, but if you don't ask, you'll never know, right? What website was that? That I got that as an email, Jerome Jones. Okay, I think I was able to show that Excel spreadsheet. Um, Cheap Freight Hauler says, check with nurseries in your area. I do season power only with a local nursery. It's all round trip loads. Yes, nurseries are very open to doing direct business. Absolutely. Um, there should be a button named share screen on the StreamYard. Yep, I think we got her. Cheap Freight Hauler, lots of phone calls and quoting decent rates. I quoted this shipper in 2021, Georgia to Idaho, and Georgia to Texas. I was cheaper than brokers in 21 and 22, but now I'm higher. Service keeps it. So they're also going to, okay, I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you, Cheap Freight Hauler. So this is also another thing that comes into consideration when they're determining who's going to get the lanes is, are you asset or are you broker? Best of both worlds is uh, an asset based blah, 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 an asset based broker. So a trucking company with a brokerage, so that if you take some freight and you can't cover it, you can have the option to bring somebody in from the outside to help you. But having assets makes a difference. Let me tell you that right now. I couldn't imagine trying to start a small brokerage with no assets. By assets, we mean trucks, trailers, equipment, right? Because I've had some people do some crappy things and not show up to pick up a load, and I jump in the truck and go pick it up, and the customer never knows the difference. So rather than getting screamed at for failing on a load, I can go do it. It's not exactly how you want it to be, right? But um, they want assets mostly. Now some places just want somebody like a Robinson to come in and handle it all. Generally some of your larger places, but in most circumstances, they prefer assets, or assets will get first consideration. If there's a wide gap, um, that makes a difference. But if the bids are close, they're probably going to go with asset first. Mark the Mailman, good afternoon. So good to hear from you again. I hope your family are well. Thanks for what you do. When I grow up, I want to be like you. No, you don't want that. You don't want that. Thank you, Mark. Um, a good afternoon from Phoenix. Okay. Snorlord, there you go. Says most owners don't know their cost and are challenged with quoting freight, so they're out. Yes. Snorlord is also one telling you you got to know your costs. And that's just not knowing. We're not talking about just knowing how much fuel costs, right? Um, Insurance, maintenance, equipment. Uh, if you want to consider your wages in there, some people do, some people don't. That's complete. I'm not. I don't care either way. You probably should figure something in there, right? So you can figure a good margin, a margin enough to cover your paying yourself. You don't want to be working for free. Um, incidentals. Absolutely. Uh, I guess I'm part of the problem if everyone needs 750 a mile. Yeah, that's who are you helping? If you believe that, you can't. I can't imagine that you really. I mean, if you're oversized heavy haul, you're hauling these giant dozers and stuff, or yeah, you probably need to have that much. You got to pay for pilot cars, you got to pay for permits. Sometimes they got to move power lines, right? You might even need more than that. You probably do need more than that. Your average freight hauler, if you have to have 750 a mile to operate, it's just I don't know. There's a lot of pain in the whole in the world waiting for you. You're going to do a lot of sitting if you're not going to haul for less than that. I mean, if you're going to haul, 50-mile loads, yeah, you probably get 750 a mile. Probably not anything of any considerable mileage. And we have to break that mentality. Let me add this in here, since there's a lot of people who we're watching right now. Right, what I'm telling you here today, this isn't, I clickbaited you. Yeah, this is not any kind of mastery thing of bidding freight. Okay, it's just going over it a little bit. But here's what it is. It's a solution to some of our problems in our industry, right? Is learning things like this. So if you're we need to we need to do a shutdown. Well, it's not going to work. It's not going to work to jump in the truck and go circle around Washington D.C. blowing your horn. They're not going to help you. They're not going to legislate against shippers or brokers. The FMC is never going to pass a regulation to help you, only hurt you. Um, Brokers are screwing you. Shippers are screwing you. Um, it- this is one of the opportunities to actually do something to help yourself. No, no rally, no putting a sticker on the back of your trailer. Don't haul cheap freight from some organization. Does nothing for you. Doesn't this is an actionable thing. This is the first step. Like I said, this is what the people that are not on YouTube that are making the real money in trucking. This is what they do. They hire people just to do this. Okay, this is how they made all that money. This is how they got hundreds of trucks. They bid contract freight. Maybe you don't want that, and that's fine. But you don't have to. Like, you can do this with one truck. I did it. Right? There's plenty of other people doing it. Right here, Chicken Hauler. He's bidding freight. He's doing his own freight. He's got one truck. Okay. Stop thinking it's impossible and looking for somebody else to solve your problems. You got to solve your problems. This is how you do it. It isn't every problem, but it's a good start. Okay. Think of where you might be in 5 years from now if you're successful on some of this. You might, people. Well, I want to build up. Want to have a couple trucks, a couple people work for me. That is hard to sustain and maintain on the spot market. You need something you can rely on. So um, I don't want to keep preaching that, but just want to take the opportunity to say that this will make doing things like this, not just this one thing, but doing things like this will make more difference in your business than uh, you know OOIDA lobbying for you, or Nasdaq lobbying for you, or your next rally where everybody donates a bunch of money and then the money disappears. Has that ever helped? Where does that money go when people donate to a trucking convoy? What happened to that money? Did it make any difference for you? I'm guessing probably not. I love a good rant, don't I? I love a good rant. Chicken Hawk says, never in my 35 years in trucking have I heard of quoting by the axle, by the mile, by the hour, by the pallet, by the weight, but never by the axle. That's a new one for me. Yeah, well, I could see that if you're doing super, like, the windmills, right? How many axles do you need to haul that windmill blade? Some of the big oversized stuff. RGN. If you need a freaking 5 axle RGN, yep, you might step it up per axle. It's a lot more weight. Other than that, no, never. I never have. Never have. Um, I missed something. What was I gonna say? It'll come back to me. It'll come back to me. David Edwards in the house. Hey y'all. Cool trucking. How you doing? Josh the vegan. Howdy y'all. Um, okay, couple people having some conversations in the chat here. We'd love to see that. Thank you guys. Thanks everybody for showing up today. I I appreciate it, and I hope people start. You really got to take charge of your own stuff right now in this downturn, because it could get worse here. Chicken Hawk said, Josh the vegan, would you haul a load of meat? Yeah, maybe. Cheap Freight Hauler says, not with this shipper, small family owned operation. I didn't even ask for credit references. Meet the owner and knew he had a good rep in the community. I give them 30-day terms, but they pay in a week. I've done something similar. Now, some I've gone and done credit checks. You kind of want to credit check people. In today's day and age, you never know, right? You never know. But I still believe in a local company. You can do business on a handshake. Now you're gonna have to have some things in writing, but you say, hey, do these loads X amount, and he says, okay, here you go. And but there needs to be some legalities taken care of. Um, Roberto says, how good are they to unload your truck when you work directly with shippers? Do they still make you have appointment times? Yeah, well, it depends. Some require, some don't. I personally, with the shippers that I work with, have had, especially getting loaded because I'm at their facility, really not much for delays, unless like during the holiday rush for Thanksgiving, I'd show up there. There'd be a lot of trucks there waiting to get loaded. They only got a few docks. You could wait an hour, a couple hours. Generally, no. On the other end, going to Walmart's usually, yeah, it's by appointment. I tell you what is different, when you have a problem. I did a video. I had a load rejected in the middle of the night one night. I don't remember what time. And I called right to them, and I'm like, man, I was hesitant to call. I'm like, I don't want to wake him up in the middle of the night. Called him. Um, hey, load got rejected for quality. You know what I didn't get? I didn't get it. I will escalate your problem. I didn't get that. I didn't get a hold on. I got to get a hold of the account rep. He isn't until morning. I didn't get let me email the shipper. You know what I got? They said, bring it back. She's like, you got a backhaul plan? I says, no. Or did I? I can't remember if I did or not. Either way, she's like, bring it back. We'll pay you. Let me know what you need to bring it back. I'm like, wow, that's something I'm not used to. Um, so yeah, there's when you have a problem, it's generally better. 14-day terms. Yeah, that's another thing. You negotiate your own terms. All of my places pay pretty quick, within probably 2 weeks, and that's not even something I had to negotiate with. That's something they already did. Um, okay, talking more about terms. Oh, chicken hawk, come on, man. This is Mark the mailman. You want to be pear shaped when you grow up? Oh man, we're working on that. How about just oblong? It doesn't sound so harsh. Anything out of North Bergen is going to be alcohol. Yeah, I kind of figured that. That Budweiser though, that's in Newark, I think. So this must be something else. I don't know who's in North Bergen. Um, I try not to do grocery warehouses. I sat at Kroger in Forest Park for 7 hours with a load of potato chips, 2 hours from home. Oh, yeah, that can be tough. I don't factor either. Direct customer freight, and only my payment terms are 14 days. Take it or leave it. Okay. Lots of mountains between Bergen and Columbus. Okay. Oh, Cheap Freight Hauler says I got a new shipper. I'm quoting in April. I may try the 14-day terms with them. They will have a lot more volume and year-round moves. That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, we got a lot of back and forth conversations here in the chat. I'm just going to kind of skip over them. Snorlord says it's time to be serious. It really is. It really is. If you want to stay in business, if you have a long term plan here, it's always time to be serious. But in the last period of time, there was a lot of room for error and mistakes, and some carelessness. That's not in anymore. I don't know if everybody's noticing slowly a little bit at a time, but fuel is creeping right back up, isn't it? So not only are rates declining, volumes declining, fuel is nearing back to those record rates. Um, okay, Harvey Roberts says, "How do you find these RFP sheets for all the different companies?" I call. So if you've been with the channel for a while, you'll probably be familiar with Paul from Freight Connect, fr8connect.com. He's become a part of the channel here. We've been trying, even in the last 2 years during the gold 3 years during the gold rush. We were trying, one of the few that I know of, trying to convince people to go out and try to get direct shippers. Even if you are only one truck, you can do it. Okay. And in the process, it takes some phone calls, right? It's you're selling yourself. It's a sales process, right? And if you selling is your weak point, you can't do it or don't want to do it. If you're intimidated by it, you can hire somebody like Paul from Freight Connect. I don't know of anybody else that is doing it. There may be, but I don't know about them, to be your outside sales team for a very reasonable price. Now, during that process, you're going to get a lot of no's, right? But you set them up for certain things. Some of the things you set them up for are the opportunity to contact them again in the future. You want to like establish an email contact for them. So say, hey, I'd like to send you my information, so that if there ever an opportunity ever does arise, you know they already have you, right, your information. So by getting that email contact, leaves the door open for them you to contact them again in the future. If you feel like it's a hard no, you can say, hey, when is your next bid season, and how do I become, not say, can I become a part of that? The question you'd want to ask is, how do I be a part of that? How can I be a part of that? And they'll say, well, you'll call back in June, talk to this person, or here, let me get your information. There's different ways that can happen, right? I had one guy not far from me here. It's they do canned vegetables and stuff. He says, we don't deal with brokers, but if you want it for your trucks, you could call back in, I think he said July, and we do our bid season then. We set our rates for the year, and we're pretty open to dealing with people. And I may do that. I don't know. We'll see what July looks like. Hopefully we'll be doing some other things by then. But you want to ask, how do I become a part of your bid season? How do I get involved in your RFPs? And when is that? What does it look like? Do you start taking bids in February for April? How many months out? Just some general information. You want to beat them up. So I wanted to get you involved in that. And then for brokers and 3PLs, I mean, it's suitable to ask anytime. They don't care. They may not even know. So if you call TQL, right, you're getting just your average dimwit at TQL. They're not going to know. You're going to want to ask for like an account manager or carrier relations, maybe. Try to go higher up the food chain, because he may lie to you. They don't know anything other than, have to cover this load. So, and then like this one, that one was one I didn't seek out. It kind of fell in my lap. So after, and that those things will happen. One of the direct people that I work with on a limited basis, they're the ones I just bid a bunch of lanes for. They called me out of the blue one day, like a year and a half ago. They're like, hey, we see you're in such and such a town. We kind of looking for some more local carriers. And I'm like, how the hell did you find me? Out of all the people. So I'm like, yeah, we talked. We exchanged information and done limited work for him. But it's really picking up. It's becoming more. So those opportunities will from time to time present themselves. Just be ready for it. Be ready for it. What does RFP mean? Request for proposal. And people can call it other things. Just a bit freight bids, contract bids, um, whatever they want to call it. But that's the common term for it. Oh, I didn't even see that super chat. Thank you, Snorlord, $10 super chat. Excellent info and mindset. Most can't quote because they don't know their costs and run their business off emotions. Yeah, that's a great point, and that's kind of what we want you to do is get a get a grip on your emotions. Try to a certain extent, pull your emotions back from this because this is business. This isn't. I feel I should be at $5 a mile on this lane. Well, it don't matter what you feel because your competition is doing it another way. Or whoever you're bidding against, or whoever else is participating in this is probably highly educated. They probably have some tools. See, here's the thing. Some of the people that are going to be bidding have some tools you don't have, right? So let's pick on, let me go to the DAT here and pick a random broker. And, ooh, Transfix. Let's talk about Transfix Inc. Another click and go, right? So what does Transfix have in there that they can use for bids that you don't have? Probably some really fancy, expensive software. Because Transfix is one of those that piled a whole bunch of money into technology before they started their brokerage. So they got the data, man. But here's what they don't have. I can just about guarantee, and not a damn one of them has ever driven a truck. If you go through their roster of executives and people that work there, probably none of them have ever been behind the wheel. Maybe I could be wrong, but it's probably been a very long time if they have. You have, you're gonna know the lane. You're gonna know, okay, if it's a lane you know about, okay, here's where I can get all my cheap fuel, right? I can park at the shipper and receiver. How much? What kind of dollar is that worth? Um, or hey, I don't want nothing to do with that shipper because they're going to keep me in their dock for 12. Every time I've ever been there, it's been a 12-hour unload at an associated wholesale grocers, right? Screw that. I don't want nothing to do with this. Let these guys go and bid it at, a ridiculous rate and then try to move it, and they can't move it because of what the customers like, but they don't know that because they don't have that intimate knowledge like you do as a driver. So don't just assume that they have everything over on you because they don't. And as part of your negotiations, after you bid the line haul, and then surcharges added, if they come back to you and start talking to you about the lane, that's when you can add in, okay, we got to talk about detention here because I have intimate knowledge of this customer, and here's what they tend to do to people. All right, that um, some of these places aren't going to know to do that. Um, all right, driving with John in the house. Thanks for coming in. Once again, Snorlord, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. Uh, D Matrix says, I'm holding on to the last couple of years, and you're right. I'm ready to throw in a towel. I need help, please. Any way I can get one on one help. I'm a slow learner. Yeah, I mean, I don't promote it. I do have in my channel memberships, I do have a level there. We'll give you an hour a month with me, if you're interested in that. Um, Otherwise, I mean, change. Okay. You're ready to throw in a towel. So you're obviously realizing that what you've been doing isn't going to work going forward, right? So first thing to do, surround yourself with some different people. If you're engrossing yourself in certain things on YouTube in relation to trucking, you immediately need to change those things or just stop watching it because it's obviously influencing you in the wrong direction. Okay. Surround yourself with better people. You will become who you spend your time with or what you devote your time to. So start watching people that will encourage you to become more successful or run a better business, right? You can get a whole college education going down the road. Not even necessarily YouTube, but audible.com, whatever. Hell, like Harvard and all them, they offer online classes for free now. You can get a freaking Ivy League education for free. It's just crazy what's available out there. Hone your skills, crunch numbers. Man, if you got your own authority and you're struggling, like you got to crunch and crunch and crunch those numbers because at a certain point too, you'll have to know when this can't happen anymore. And I kind of been wanting to do a whole video or a live stream or something about failing because, like, I think it's got some people like thinking the wrong way about it, about failure. Like some failure can be an opportunity. Like you go to different places around the world, they don't look at failure the same way as we do sometimes. Like in some places, it's believed you can't succeed until you've failed. And I'm kind of leaning towards that a little bit. Like I've failed. I would even talk about a lot of my failures and then what happened. Um, there's a difference between being a failure and failing. There's a big difference. And I don't think that gets distinguished from each other enough. Uh, so maybe we could talk about that sometime. Um, Insult investor in the house. Thanks for coming in. Chicken Hawk says there's a lot of freedom hauling brokered spot market freight. I have all dedicated contract freight, and I'm a prisoner of my own design. That's true. And for people, so even me, even myself, and probably a lot of people in here, I just want you to have something you can rely on. So you have the dedicated freight, but I'm also not an all or nothing type guy. Like I don't say all contract freight because number one, it's not practical. Even your bigger carriers, they don't have all contract freight. They take brokered loads, right? For backhauls, you get into a tough area, blah blah blah. So yeah, it's never an all or nothing. But what I do want to encourage people to do is have a foundation, and I kind of feel like having something regular, reliable that you can quote unquote count on, even though nothing is ever a sure thing, uh, kind of solidifies your business and makes it make sure that you can be here in 5 years from now. Um, it's just kind of the way I feel about it. Um, Cool Truckin says I missed the first half hour. I have to catch it on the replay. Okay, I ranted a little bit in the beginning. I just, sometimes you got to get some things off your chest. Um, Insult investor not getting the notifications. Dang it, YouTube. um, oh, here we go. CDN. Okay, right here's the man. So CDN freight broker is a freight broker from Canada. Now this process is different for everybody. Like CDN's actual real live productive active freight broker, right? His goal is to take freight and broker it to carriers. Okay. My goal, a little bit different than that. I want to take freight, use my brokerage to build my carrier, and then I put stuff out as the broker to help my customer, which in turn has given me more opportunities as a carrier. So there's different ways to do this, and uh, CDN has some just valuable stuff. You guys listen. He's on with Snorlord a lot of times. You need to listen. Um, uh, CDN says if you've never bid on these RFQs, go through the process. Not as easy as one would think. Excitement of researching, submitting the RFQ, then the disappointment you get one lane. Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's I've experienced that, but I tell you what, it has done. It's made me sharper with freight lanes and things like that. Like I got a real education on a lane out of California last week. Uh, Surprising what people are still hauling freight for. The I bid it. I bid it what I thought was low because it's a weak lane with Central California back to Wisconsin, and I bid it with I know it's a weak lane, so I bid it low, and the very bottom end of what I was willing to haul it for. And they came back and said, yeah, um, you'd have to be 30 cents a mile less to be in competition with all the other carriers I got doing it. And I'm like, well, I'm out. I can't play at that level. So, but now I know that, and I carry that knowledge with me. So you're gonna lose more than you're ever gonna get. But I think you would agree too, CDN, that by doing it, it keeps you in the running for next year, and the year after that, and the year after that. Most for the most part, and you meet people, networking and all that. Ooh, Abdi Fatah says, "Got to watch out there. 2 weeks ago, someone started using my MC number to get a load 5 different brokers, but they luckily emailed me the rate con." Whoa. Ooh, man, that's bad. Yeah, you got to watch out. There is a lot of fraud going on out there right now. Ton of it. If anybody ever gets in a pinch there with where somebody scanned them, identity theft, double brokering, reach out. I have somebody I can send you to help collect or get a few things straightened out, possibly. Um, Not a lot of LTL team trucks out there. Yes, and CDN would actually maybe he would do a video about this. He would actually be a better resource on telling people how to do this. He would be the one doing the mastery class, not me. Um, I'm just going to clickbait you with it and then do a medial to average job. None of your business. Just woke up from a nap in a recliner. What did I miss? Solved all the problems in the trucking industry. Um, Sorry about your luck. You're gonna have to go back and rewatch. Jackknife says you need to be in the right place at the right time and consistently end up in those areas. One mix-up could ruin your whole month in this market. Yep, it's know your lanes. I had a driver start here 2 years ago, and we just recently had this conversation. He says, "You know, when I started here, you kept sending me to the same place all the time. Not the same customers, but the same area, like Wisconsin to Pennsylvania, Wisconsin to Pennsylvania, and back." And he's like, "I hated it a little bit. I was a little bit mad about it. Like, can't we sometimes go somewhere else?" And he told me, he's like, "I get it now." He says, he says, "I know everything there is to know about that lane. I know what to expect for fuel prices. I know where I can park. I know the rates. I know everything about it." I'm like, "Yeah, that's why we did that. That's you develop great knowledge of lanes that way." Um, Kenworth versus Peterbilt in the house. Thanks for coming in. Chief Freight Hauler says, "I remember seeing Augusta, Georgia to Miami for $1 a mile during the 2020 shutdown." Yeah, and that's the head haul for that lane, right? That's the money load for that lane. Could imagine what Miami back to Augusta was. Probably a quarter. I think the lowest rate I ever saw during that time period was 36 cents a mile, and that was Uber, everybody's favorite Uber. Another thing that I forgot to mention, I think this is what I was going to say before, is um, this doing things like this can be it can keep you from being subject to the new AI um, dynamic freight pricing that you're going to see more and more and more and more of in the spot market. You're going to see a lot. You're starting to see it from CH Robinson. They're going to be doing it. Surge transportation. So if you don't know about AI dynamic pricing, it is not good for us. This is still the old fashioned way to bid freight. You didn't see anything on there about AI dynamics, did you? Artificial intelligence is becoming huge in the trucking industry in regards to freight pricing. So you're not going to like it. Try to stay away from it. And this is an opportunity. There's a lot of unspoken, sub level opportunities and things doing things such as this that you may not think of right off the bat. But as some of these other things pop up, like the AI pricing, you'll say, "Oh, I dodged that one," right? I dodged that bullet. That will probably work its way into a lot of these other things. Oh my goodness, I got a super chat here. Hold on. Adam Bennett, thank you, sir. $100 super chat. Holy cow! He says, "Dude, you heard about this Freightliner Super Truck too? Look it up online and let me know about this shenanigans." Let me do some research on that. So Freightliner Super Truck 2. I have not heard about that. I was reading about the Cascadia, the electric Cascadia, which, hey, they're kind of sharp. It's a pretty sharp looking truck. With the premium battery package, I think the optimum distance was like 236 miles, and ideal conditions, no mountains, not freezing cold. So not very practical, but it looked like a pretty slick truck. Um, and I can't imagine what the cost replacing a battery pack in one of those. Cash is King was talking the other day, yesterday, about how much it costs to replace a battery pack in a Tesla Model S now. They're talking $30,000. That is absolutely insane. In the beginning, they were saying that um, I don't know when they first were putting this technology out that it was going to be cost next to nothing. Uh, let's see, where did I leave off here? Now I got to go back. Jerry says, "Do you think you're doing your truck a disservice by not getting the best rate per mile, as in doing power only rather than owning your own trailer?" Uh, I'm not worried about doing the right thing by my truck. I'm worried about doing the right thing by my business. Now, the trucks are part of the business. Now, let me explain. I don't want to just say that and not qualify it. Getting the best rate per mile. That's a big topic. So, are we trying to get the best rate per mile right here, right now, today, and we'll worry about tomorrow when it gets here? Because that's very different than getting a very solid rate per mile for the next 365 days, right? So that's what you got to consider too in regards to rate per mile. So go back during the gold rush, and I remember saying this, and Paul was on the same page in agreement. Uh, all kinds of freight out here for 550 a mile. Good opportunity to go out and contract some freight for 350, 375 a mile, and haul that for the next 5 years, or 3 years, or 2 years, because anybody who's been in transportation, you go to the big players in transportation, and without an exception, they would tell you this cannot last. This cannot economically last 550 a mile on everything. Okay, so that's what they were doing. That's what the big money was doing, was going out and bumping up their contracted rates. And is some of that reversing itself? Yes, yes, but not as bad as the spot market is taking a hit. So you have to consider all these things. Um, are you chasing the money for today, or are you building a long-term plan that can sustain your business? And I'm not picking you on you. I'm answering your question. So, as in doing power only rather than owning your own trailer, well, you have to understand the the history of power only. Before the pandemic and before the shutdowns, power only was not a business sustaining business model, unless you were talking about power only contracted onto a Walmart, power only contracted onto a Target, some of these major retailers or something where that was their business model, a Tractor Supply, whatever. Not pulling a broker's trailers like Convoy or Amazon. Before the pandemic, Amazon rates stunk. They stunk on ice. And guess what? They're coming back to that, aren't they? They only paid you more when they needed you. As is kind of how everything works generally, in a general way of speaking. Um, there will always be a need for power only, and they will pay when they have to. There's not. Mm, you have to see it for what it is. You have to see it for what it is. So if you're looking at building a business model and you're going to do it power only, well, you need to go out and contract some power only, or find somebody that has a long term, diverse opportunity. Would I say uh, Amazon's probably a bad example, but maybe you want to build a 5 truck fleet where you could contract it on power only to a Walmart, or something like that. Um, s- a lot of the old school players in trucking, and I tend to agree with this, that the money's in the trailer, not in the truck. I think I actually just had this conversation with somebody yesterday. If you were looking to upgrade equipment, we're talking about reefers. He was talking about upgrading to a 2019, and we both, looked at each other at the same time and said the money's in the trailer. The money is not in the truck. So that's as much as I can say about that. Cheap freight hauler. I live in South Florida. I always hear about how cheap hose A or hose B will haul it for. I just tell them, then why are you calling me? Yeah, that's the power thing. Are you calling them, or are they calling you? Um, D says, how do I start with RFP? Okay, I already had that conversation. 53 step. Have you mastered this already? No, that was clickbait. Uh, I clickbaited you with the mastering the art of contract freight bidding, a step by step guide. This is an average at best attempt to contract freight bidding. I just clickbaited you. CDN says, I'm opposite. My experience is carriers who broker off extra loads are not good brokers. From my experience in Canada, brokers are customer focused. See, okay, we're having different experiences on that then, because some of my best or favorite brokers that I deal with, I would say all my favorite brokers that I deal with down here are small to mid-sized carriers. So, but we're on opposite sides. I'm coming at it from the carrier side. You're coming at it from broker side. So I also see, now that I'm on the broker side, I see some things that some carriers do. Trust me. So, and I could see that. But yeah, I'm having the opposite experience of that. Maybe we should have that conversation someday, um, CDN, about that. In fact, CDN, we've never done this. Would you like to come on today? Um, if you would, send me an email at diysemi@yahoo.com right now, and I'll get you over a link. I've never had you on, and I have a high opinion of you, and I think the people would like to hear from you, and I'd like to hear your perspectives. So, um, Mark Ely says, I was sitting in the office on Friday. Driver never called about a load he got. I need 275. The load paid four and a quarter. It's on the driver. Look at freight board. I'm seeing more bid freight than prices on the board. Yeah, this goes back to know your lanes, right? Know your markets. It's not easy. I'm not sitting here saying it's easy. It's an ongoing process because trucking is always, always, always changing. And people have bigger and better tools than you do, and you got to keep up. You got to keep up, and it's hard. D says the truth is hard to take. Rant on, brother. Yeah, but the thing is, I'm not always right. But I'm smart enough to know that. I know that I'm not always right, but I know what's right for me. CDN says I should clarify carriers who are brokers often pay attention to load details. Also, their priority is their assets. Brokerage gets overlooked unless you have dedicated staff for brokerage. And I think the ones that I deal with, I think they do have dedicated staff for brokerage. Um, except for one. She's kind of a one lady show. She's got like, I don't know, 10, 15 trucks, and she's awesome. I love that lady, dealing with her. Um, Music City Transport now. It's just got here, but totally agree. It's a people business. Shippers will start conversations with you if you look and act professional, even when things go sideways. Yes, it can be hard to do sometimes. Uh, Cheap freight hauler says I lost TQL's number once I got some age on my authority. Yeah, I don't use them much. I've not had the bad until recently here. I think I did two loads for him here last week. It's been a while, and until recently, I hadn't had any of the problems with them that I know other people have been having in the past. Let me see if CDN has emailed me. That'd be awesome to have him on. Uh, Not yet. Okay. Better check my spam. Nope. All right. We'll carry on then. Chicken Hawk says mentioned that seeking direct freight can be a lot more work than most owner operators want to do. You become a salesman, a truck driver, accounting rep, service bookkeeper, possibly AR collections person. Wait, Chicken Hawk, did you just name all the things that brokers do for you? Wait a minute. I thought brokers don't do anything. That's the thing. You're exactly right. You're exactly right, though, Chicken Hawk. But people don't like to admit that if you don't have a salesperson, the broker is your salesperson. If you don't have an account rep and customer service, the broker is your account rep and customer service. Uh, these are the things they do. What I'm saying, um, if you're mad at them and think they're screwing you, then you have to go do all these things. And some of them, to represent your business, you would want to do for yourself anyway. But yeah, these are the things that a broker does. John says, I can be in your failure video, hashtag down but not out. Yeah, sometimes trucks break, man. That happens. Snorlord says, your rants are like mine, calm, cool, and collected. Oh no, I'm steaming on the inside. I was all fired up first in the beginning. I just hit it well. I heard some things today and I'm like, enough. I've been spending less and less time on YouTube. And people call me and say, "Did you see what they did on Freight Waves today? Did you see what who's this guy? Dooner, some guy?" I'm like, "No, I don't watch any of that." And the reason I don't watch it is because I don't want to be influenced. There's enough going on in my head that if I have somebody on YouTube or Freight Waves or this person or that person on a video telling me how bad it is and all these problems, that affects you. It affects me. The only difference is I realize it because I'll find myself going down this doom and gloom rabbit hole, and I got to catch myself and say, "Hey, I got a business to run here. I got hey, just because things are bad doesn't mean I don't have to do my job today. Doesn't mean I don't have to find loads. Doesn't mean I don't have to invoice. I don't have to uh, call and look for more freight and fill out these bid requests. I still have to do all these things. I don't want all these influences. I'll figure out for myself because some people sensationalize and they dramatize and they need people to watch. So they will say things to get people to watch. And they got to be first with everything. Like everybody has to be first with a story, right? Just like the news channels. So first is not is rarely the most accurate. Remember that. So I don't need freight waves telling me how bad things are. I'll run my business. Thank you very much. I do appreciate the information they put out. I do catch some of it. I'm not mad at them. But it's like I was telling the dude before, like he was all down pressed and saying, I'm having trouble. I'm on my way out. Well, surround yourself with some different things. And that's the first step in the surrounding yourself with different things is push all those old things the hell out and be done with them. So that's part of the reason I don't generally watch all that much stuff. So well, what are you gonna do? I don't need somebody telling me it's tough right now. Like, trust me, I someday at the end of the days I want to drink or something, but I don't. TQL is a scam. Hate them. They're rip-off artists. Okay. Um, T-Bone says best places to find line haul freight or find haul. Words. Words. Best places to find to haul freight for is companies that pay round trip and babysit them from there on out. Nursery stock does a lot of that. If you're into hauling nursery stock, a lot of that's round trips. Um, Kenworth versus Peterbilt. I need some help to get my freight broker license or certificate. Anyone out here offers training lessons? Yes, there is. So I think I did a video about how to get your freight broker authority. I think I did. I don't know. Go back and look. And if not, it's easy. You need to just the same way you got your motor carrier authority. You file on there. You just select broker, and then you need a bond uh, based on your credit. It's probably going to be $1,200 for your first year if you got decent credit. And technically, that's what you need to get started. That your bond, your brokerage can be active. That being said, please, please, please get some training. If you've been in trucking a long time, that absolutely helps. But you need to have some training to be able to do this right and keep yourself out of legally out of trouble, fulfill all your legal obligations. CDN, if CDN has a good training place to send you, I know Eric used to have a good training program, which was Sage. It was a good program. I don't think he does it anymore. So CDN, if you're still watching and you know of a place this gentleman can go to get some broker training, um, I think Freight Broker Boot Camp or Freight Broker Live, I think is a good one. And then CDN himself, watch everything He says, Sean Fairman says, so many phonies on YouTube trucking. Thanks for not being one. Um, I can't be, you know, I think I was the only one that probably told you in the last 2 years. I told you that there was months when I lost money. And people probably didn't understand that, but you know, um, my drivers killed it, and you know, I didn't do nearly as well. But when you're building a business, it's kind of how it is. You get, you eat last, right? Your people got to be taken care of first, and there, when you're buying equipment, it takes a while to overcome that. But no, I appreciate it. Thank you. Um, do you think you were high on the California Wisconsin lane because Wisconsin has been such a strong market and Cali is weakening? Cali carriers are trying to get to Wisconsin. I don't feel like I was that high. Um, like I said, I was at the lowest end of what I was willing to. I didn't even want to haul it for what I was bidding it at, but at the head haul opportunity was pretty good, so I was willing to make a little bit of sacrifice. Um, California is overpopulated. There's a lot. Well, it was the Fresno market. Let's just put it that way. So the overpopulation of trucks in the Fresno market, and they're going to haul for what they have to haul for to get it out of there, up to a stronger market. So yes, you are right. Um, I generally, as a practice, looking back, I don't really do long haul trucking. I prefer that, you know, 500 to, well, even less than that, either between 0 and 500 for short hauls, and then the 500 to 900 mile hauls is kind of my sweet spot. So um, I was only trying to develop that lane for one particular driver, and I think we're just past that. Um, yeah, thanks again, Adam Bennett, for a super chat. That was kind of you. And I'm going to look at that Freightliner super truck too. Um, okay, Dan's Outdoor Adventures dropped a link to that. Okay. Snorlord says AI is killing everything. Bring on the Terminator. It's AI is surpassing, in my opinion, this is merely my opinion, AI is surpassing what we are ready for in trucking. It's changing the industry for those around us, shippers and receivers, brokers, 3PLs. I don't know so much like mechanic shops, although it will improve them going forward, but it's a more complicated process. So all the brokers and shippers and receivers have to rely on is AI software, right? We're in a position where, okay, we may get some benefit from some different AI software, but we're really in a position when AI comes to our level, it's mechanical, and then we're really in trouble. I don't think we're close to that. But there's a big push for AI in this industry, and it's passing us by, which is it's not good for us. We're going to be the last ones to benefit from it, and by that time, it's probably too late. So, where is Stepdaddy Cash? I don't know. I haven't heard from him today. He's probably sleeping. Every battery made for those trucks is made from slave labor in third world countries by kids being poisoned from it. Funny how that's an inconvenient truth that nobody likes to talk about, is it? Has everybody seen in addition to that insult investor, has everybody seen the Joe Rogan clip of when he had that guy on there in the cobalt mines and where was it? Africa. Uh, it's an ingredient they use in all these batteries and stuff, and the environment that people work in, and how nobody wants to talk about that. All these bleeding hearts that want to save the environment. How about you worry about some of these people? And it would almost make you feel terrible for buying an electric vehicle. But I think that information needs to be out there. Um, cents per miles just got finished buffing my tanks and wheels. Got to look sharp for those customers. There you go. You can come do mine if you want. It's warmed up to a balmy 25 degrees today, which is much better than the 17 below it was not last night, but the night before. Um, Chicken Hawk, Adam Bennett, Cash likes his 80/20 carrier. He doesn't want to talk about seeking direct freight. Well, his carrier does it though, so he doesn't have to, and then he directly benefits from it. So They do these things. Um, Chicken hawk cents per mile. It's a good thing to look shiny, but customers usually could care less. Yeah, a lot of them don't ever see anything but the inside of your trailer. So, uh, Adam Bennett says, I'm doing power only for freight Vana mostly now. It sucks, but it's keeping me afloat. Okay, freight Vana is one that I never really kind of looked into much. Dreamliner says 132 watching, only 50 likes. Oh yeah, definitely hit the thumbs up button. Thank you. I didn't even realize there's that many people watching. Holy cow! Thank you. Um, Smack the like button. There you go. Sonny says facts. Um, all right, here we go. Robert Chambers says my favorite Badger. Ooh, yeah. Ooh, Badgers are stacking up that football team this year. I tell you what, next year's gonna be great. Is it a good time to buy a truck? I know it's a tough question. Well, yeah, there's two sides of that. Number one, truck prices are coming down to a more realistic price, although they're still pretty high. You're starting to see some attainable. I don't want to see good prices. I'd say attainable prices, right? I just had two drivers upgrade. We got rid of two of the Max. The two, well, the first, well, I should take that back. We got rid of one of them. The other one we parked and we're looking at putting somebody in it as a starter truck. I have some applications. Um, but it was time for them to upgrade. And we talked about this when they got them. I'm like, they're not perfect trucks, but you remember back during the pandemic when these truck prices were sky high. Other trucks, same year, same mileage, were $40,000 to $50,000 more. We were buying these things cheap. Are they perfect? No. Is the, is the fuel mileage as good as a Cascadia? No. But it's a really good entry point for the drivers. So we were doing that. We bought like six of them, and one of them got wrecked. Um, I'm still driving one. Another one left the fleet, and we just traded one, and the one we set aside. So two guys upgraded. One of them bought an International, and one of them bought a Cascadia. And it was time. It was time. They both had their trucks paid off. This was kind of the plan all along. It was just a matter of when was it going to happen. Um, so there's more to it than just truck prices. What's your financial situation? Is it a good time for you? Have you saved up? Are you in a strong buying position? Because trucks are getting cheaper. And then, do you have work for it at a rate that you need to operate it? Um, if the work part isn't a concern, maybe you're leased onto a carrier, or steady freight, or whatever. Then you're you're gonna see some real good buying opportunities. You already are starting to see them. New trucks, I think, are still way too high, but used trucks, they're coming down to earth. I think they're still too high, but you're going to see opportunities, and the repo market's going to start to be strong. You're going to start to see a lot of repos and turn-ins, which will drive down the price of used equipment. It's just going to flood the market. The auction houses there's all kinds of equipment. Trailers are still too high. Trailer prices need to come down. They're stupid high still. Not like they were. It's not $100,000 for a new dry van, but it's still stupid high. So, but then again, you got the inflation going on. So, do they fall much lower? And but then you got interest rates. Interest rates are higher, so that drives price down. We got a lot of opposing factors right now, so we'll see which one wins. Which way the economy goes is going to determine which one wins. Um, they did raise interest rates again. They're saying they're going to raise them again, which I think is insane. But I don't know. Give it a couple months. Give it a few months. Unless if you need the equipment now, you've been saving for it. You're having some problems and it's time. Then it's a better time now than it was 4 months ago. But I think 4 months from now will be an even better time yet. And your fleets are starting to turn in their trades because their new trucks are arriving. So I'm seeing a lot of that. Like the one dealer we bought that from, he says he's got a package of 9 Cascadias coming in at the end of February. Similar mileage. It's a trade package from somebody who just took delivery of the new trucks. So a lot of that. Dealers are getting pinched. All these trucks they promised on trade, over the last year or so that they guaranteed pricing on, they're not worth what they gave for them. So dealers are getting pinched, which is, hey, they were the ones gouging when the shoe was on the other foot. So Uh, do what you got to do. Beat them up. Um, Robert Chambers says I was going to lease on to Badger Refrigeration in Wisconsin. Hmm. You talking about Badger Western? Is that who you're talking about? Mm. Dan's Outdoor Adventure says, guess you could say DIY master clickbaited us. There you go. How far behind am I in the comments? 25 minutes. Holy cow. I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. Sean says, my people telling me rates won't bottom till mid 24. We could in for a longer ride than thought at first. I would tend to be more in that camp. I would tend to be more. Actually, I think they'll probably bottom, but they won't rebound. I think they just drag along. They just drag along bottom. We scrape bottom for, you know, I don't know how long. I would expect a while um, till we get some meaningful changes. The China thing has got to sort itself out. The imports, there's just nothing coming. It's we're hmm. If you look at the economy away from trucking, there's not much promising things happening. So what's going to you tell me what's going to turn around trucking? Short of another crisis or a who knows a manufactured crisis, whatever. Uh, okay, Augusta to Miami is the head haul on that lane, except during early melon season. Yes. Chicken Hawk says I never said brokers don't do anything. No, I'm not. I'm not singling you out, Chicken Hawk. I'm saying that like what I was talking before about the stuff you're hearing on YouTube, right? The brokers are screwing us. I'm not pointing out you in general, but I know that you know that because you've not your first time here. Sage in the house. Hey now. Okay, Sage, are you still doing the broker training classes? Because somebody was asking in here, where could they go to get some broker training? I did your training class. I liked it. I thought it was a good one. And I'm telling people, if you're going to be a broker, please get some training. There is too many inexperienced brokers out here right now. Surprisingly enough, huh? Not much for broker classes in Pakistan and India, huh? Go figure. So Sage, let me know if you're still doing that. You could or promote it. Put it in the chat or whatever. How people can contact you. I don't know if you're still doing it. Where do we go here? Dreamliner says thank you for advice. Well, it's just my opinion. No, no big deal. Snorlord says DIY goes down a gloom and doom rabbit hole and then invites me along for the ride. Hey, it's a 2-seater cart here. Hop on in. Hop on in. Uh, T-Bone says, you mean some people just say things to get people to watch? Like what? Clickbait titles? There you go. Mastering the Art of Contract Freight. I clickbaited you. I got you. I got you. Master of Clickbait, Cassius King gets to win. Yeah, but you also got to admit, like, his are the funniest. Yeah, you gotta admit that. His thumbnails and his titles are the funniest. Uh, yeah, I hope you guys know, like, that's all for humor, right? There's- it cracks me up. I can't help it. Um, that wasn't the real T-Bone. You got somebody got you a fake account? Weird. Mark Cerrone says, positive mental attitude is what it's all about. I never have problems with brokers. I don't agree with contract freight, but you already know my position on that. Yeah, and that's okay. Yeah, I mean, Mark, you're always like, I don't, uh, I don't mind disagreement because you're like we have good conversations. We don't sit here and scream at each other. Well, I don't know. You may be screaming at me, but you're like in your truck, so I don't hear it. Got to have the stupid, ridiculous facial expression. Oh, that's the key to a good clickbait title. Do I know about small business grants? A little bit. I'm not a fan of it. Um, I'm not a fan of anything to do with the SBA. Now, some people aren't gonna like this. Not a fan of anything to do with the SBA and any grants that come from the government. And I'll tell you why. That fine print is a bitch. It is.
And if you don't read the fine print, you can tangle yourself up into something nasty with the government. Let me give you an example of that. I know, well, I have people close to me in the farming industry, and in the last several years around me, they are trying to convince farmers to put in manure pits instead of spreading their manure year round on the fields from the cows. They want you to have it in a pit so that you can pump it in the summertime when the ground is permeable instead of spreading it in the winter where it doesn't soak into the ground and then you get a bunch of runoff. I know somebody that took a very large government grant to do this, several $100,000. Didn't read the fine print. Now, after doing this, come to find out the fine print says if you accept this money, you no longer control your basically your acreage. We're putting you two into a nutrient management program, which means we will tell you when, we will tell you where, we will tell you how, not only to spread your manure, but what crops you will plant there, on what rotation, grazing, everything. Um, that was a real son of a gun to find out after the fact that you pretty much lose control of your farm by accepting this kind of money, and that's all kinds of things like that tangled up in government money. So um, that's my feelings about it. What are your thoughts on RGN? Rates don't seem to be affected by the economy. At least that's what I hear watching some of the 100 content. Would you ever get into heavy haul? There's money in that. I ain't gonna lie. You better know what you're doing. You better have some experience, and you better get some training because a lot of times you're oversized or overweight. Um, you got ground clearances to worry about. You got height. Um, it's load securement. You better know what you're doing, and get some training. But no, I think it's a great niche to be in. It is affected by the economy, regardless of what anybody says. When building takes a hit, you don't see Caterpillar and all these companies moving as much of their heavy equipment around. So everything's subject to the economy. Brandon Scott does broker training. Okay. And then I think, what's the other one? Freight CDN would know Freight Broker Live, something like that. Is this channel name? I can't remember. Hot Seat says, "This is my favorite trucking channel on the YouTubes." Oh, you say that to all the YouTubes truckers. I see ya. That's just because I talk about cheese curds. Brokers are silly, unneeded. Should be one load board, no brokers needed. Hmm. Why? Hmm. So do we only have to worry about what we want? What about what the shippers want? It's their freight. If they wanted it to be that way, it would be that way. If they wanted it this way, it would be this way. Um, it's just not that simple. They are needed. Um, it's a long drawn out conversation. Well, that's for another. Actually, we've had those conversations. Do you have a sales team? Do you think the shipper is just going to post every load they have to a load board? Why would they want to deal with 100 different carriers when they could deal with one place? They want the broker to do their sales to carriers. They want them to handle the logistics, handle all the problems. That's what they're paying them for. Um, there's a lot. I don't even want. That's not for today. Agreed about AI. Yeah, your boss will be on an AI soon. Yeah. Side note. Side note. Um, everybody's so for this cashless society and crypto and all this. You better realize once your cash is gone. What's the saying? Oh, you really think there's somebody behind a computer saying whether or not I can buy a six pack of beer or a box of Twinkies? No, it's worse than that. It's an AI. It's an algorithm or whatever that will say if you can buy life insurance. If what your health insurance is going to cost based upon your spending habits on what you buy at the grocery store. It's far worse than that. So you lose your cash, you lose everything. Everybody needs to understand that. It's currency controls. AI, yeah, we're not ready for it. If that weather balloon floats over my property, I'm shooting it out of the sky. I was having a similar thought, but then they said it was like above the height of commercial airliners, is what I was reading. So isn't that probably like 50,000 feet? It'd take a hell of a rifle to shoot that down. Lance Calhoun says, on Fresno, were you looking at the LA market? No, it was well, it was Hillmar, California. Was the place. The next snap on OBD reader will be AI on board and tell you what's most likely wrong. There's, to an extent, there is some of that happens. Like I know Mac, and I'm pretty sure Kenworth, probably most of the OEMs have this thing where they can read your truck going down the road. Your codes, dealer can read them while you're going down the road. What the hell is this? 4 burgers, Diet Coke, and a sex doll. Who wants an $80,000 pickup truck? What in the hell are you talking about? Dick says, company life suits me just fine. Don't want your headaches. I'm sorry. That is the funniest name avatar combination I've ever seen in my life. Not paying these prices, sitting out this game. Oh, the trolls are funny today. The trolls are funny. Thank you. You guys make me laugh. Trailers are still dumb. Like when I sell mine for $50,000, that's dumb. But if you're desperate, I thought you were going to sell me that trailer for 20,000. Snorlord. I thought we had a deal. Some trailers scattered across Wyoming on the median strip. You guys can buy for cheap. Yeah, you could probably buy 10 of them, piece them together for one. Ed Chorus says, I'd like your opinion on my theory. At what point do you believe the government will try to offer us rebates for old trucks? I have a 2000. I'm hoping a trade-in before I have to fix. Well, if you're in California, they just say, screw you. We're not giving you any kind of rebate. You just get out of here. And they've proven that they can do it and that it'll work. So that's probably how it's going to happen. They'll just mothball it and you're out of luck. Who knows? Sage says, shoot me an email. What's your email, Sage? You should be able to post it. It's oh, okay. So the guy looking for freight broker training, go to Sage Outcast Productions, shoot him an email. There you go. There's his channel right there. Now you got to watch because he changes his channel name about every 6 days. So next week it could be Sage something else. Just giving you crap. Georgia Patriot, I just looked at trailers like mine. Best asking price $42,000 for a 2018 Wabash dry van. Oof, still too high. Fate Truckin' finally made it in. Look, oh well, look who doesn't have their notifications turned on. Can you please repeat what I've missed? What do you know about bidding contract freight? I hear your contractors do that and all cheap. Hey, some do. Some do. Okay, Sage did a video on that. All right. RGN rates have been more steady because they don't get as many good time carriers jumping in like van, reefer, and flats do. You had a lot of good time carriers jump into that flatbed market. You know how I know? Because you've seen some stuff going down the road unsecured or secured ridiculously. It was kind of a joke. People went chasing that flatbed money when van took a crap and did not get the training that you need. That's for sure. They waited till it floated to the East Coast and the fighter jet shot it down. Smart because it wasn't downed within the U.S. border. Yeah, but I saw on Fox they went the flight path of this thing and it went over like 5 different military bases or something. But the flight path it took was just ridiculous that they let that happen. Okay, it was shot down over Myrtle Beach. Okay. Najib, is it a good timing to have your broker's license next to your company? Separate the two. Keep them separate. Separate phone numbers, separate addresses if you can, separate everything. Dreamliner, I know you're involved in investing. What do you think about the market? Any thoughts? Crash is still possible, or are we surpassing that already? I look for I still think there's some pain to come. It's going to take a downturn, and I think it's going to probably be a sideways market for a lot of years, kind of like what Japan went through, until we get something to change our otherwise what will probably be a stagnated economy. So um, that's kind of what I think. Quality, go through. You got the opportunity right now uh, to go through and weed out whatever you don't have the utmost confidence in. It's time to cut to your core holdings. It's just my opinion, or things you have a very strong conviction in, things people can't do without: food, energy, um, the basics. If you have something selling tiddlywinks right now, luxury items, maybe now's not the time. Paul E just rebuilt my trailer. I put a new bogie axle off a new trailer that was wrecked on mine. Instead of replacing the bushings, I saved a bunch by replacing the whole thing. Oh, good idea. Nice. Nice. I saw a picture today of a single huge coil with one strap on it. At least it was loaded homicide, not suicide. Well, I don't know. Now somebody else has got to pay for that idiot's mistakes instead of him paying for it himself. I see these hotshot guys constantly overweight. How they skirt the laws are amazing. Yeah, but something I see on Carrier 411 all the time is about every hotshot carrier is getting pinged for operating without a CDL, because they just load whatever on there and overweight. They load it past their limits, and then suddenly they're hauling a CDL load. It's that's why every way station you go through, you see just all kinds of hotshot guys around back. They shot down the Chinese balloon after it gathered all the information. Yeah, and we'll never know. You know, they'll look at it after they shoot it down. We'll never know the details on it. So, um, whatever. There's just so many ridiculous things going on right now. Like, does it even? The next thing is just as ridiculous as the thing that just got done. What's tomorrow going to bring? Oh, Snorlord says wrap this up. Geez, I'm going live soon. You going live, Snorlord? On which channel? We'll send everybody over there. Tell me what time and what channel. Stocks are like trailers. Reefer is the best because no matter how bad it gets, people still have to eat. Yeah, yeah. You just trust my dreams of setting tiddlywinks. Ah, I'm sorry. It pixie sticks. The future is in pixie sticks. Robinson, I thought you can't have a trucking business and a brokerage tied together. You can. It's not a good idea. You should have them separate. I mean, there's. I like to have separate phone number, separate address. Uh, don't let them tie them together on DAT. Quick story. Um, I used the same phone number for mine in the beginning, and it got tied to me on DAT. So, or Carrier 411. So when somebody would look me up on Carrier 411, like, well, Swift did this to me. Swift will not give me a load. I cannot take a broker load from Swift because they see that my carrier is tied to a brokerage, and they think I'm going to double broker it. So uh, if you get a DAT account, get two different accounts. Don't let them tell you that, oh, nobody does that, because guess what they do. Some places it matters. So now they Swift told me once I get to 10 trucks, then they'll give me a load. But I'm like, well, 9 or 10, there's no difference. So, but whatever. I saw a hotshot parked in South Georgia way station with a Peterbilt roll-off dumpster truck on it. Oh, Nomadic Brit. May will be the tipping point for the economy. What happens in May? What happens in May? Snorlord's going live at 6:30 on both channels. Both Snorlord, the Metalhead Viking Caveman Trucker, and Snorlord OG. Okay, we're going to send everybody over there. DPS in Arizona targets hot shots. They're an easy target. They're an easy target because you're going to catch most of them for being at the CDL limit or above. And those hotshot trailers don't get the kind of maintenance they need either. Mark Cerrone, what's my email? It's DIYsemi@yahoo.com. It's a good place to do that. RXO says the same thing. See, RXO has never hassled me about it. Just Swift was the only one. Frank says insurance companies hate broker carriers. They will cancel you. Yeah, and my insurance man even cautioned me against that. So it's completely separate name, separate address, separate phone number. Um, yeah, everything's separate. And also, you want to do that for liability, right? If you hire a carrier, goes out and wrecks and hurts a bunch of people, you don't want that coming back on your carrier. Let it fall on your brokerage. Old school traders say sell in May and get away. Yeah, there's a lot of old adages. The dogs of the Dow. There's a lot of different strategies. Things have changed with robo trading and all that. It's some strategies didn't hold up the test of time. Some do, but I'm kind of a long term buy things I'm very convicted in, have done the homework on, and hold them for a very long time. It's just kind of how I like to do it. But I think we're going to wrap this up, folks. Thanks for coming in and having a conversation. If you love it or hate it, hey, sorry about that. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button, like, subscribe, share it with a friend, all that. And Snorlord's about to go live here at 6:30, so let's go in there and blow up his channel, and I'll tell him how much we love him. Another great channel for really good information. Check his channel out. And like I said, CDN Freight Broker is on his channel regularly. Great information. If you need some freight broker training, hit up Sage Outcast Podcast. Send him an email. Outcast Productions. Sorry. And everybody, thanks for your support. Make sure you check out my brother Cash's King's channel. It's more great information. Information is going to help a lot of people through this time right now. So go to the places where you're going to get the good information. There's a time for entertainment. There's a time for education. There's a time for both. More and more here recently is the time for education. It's going to make all the difference. So seek it out and engulf yourself in it. You're going to be better off for it. So everybody take care. I'm losing my voice here, so I'm going to have to wrap this up. Have a great night, and we'll see you next time.